Okay, so welcome. This is the RE Implementation Lab for the September theme of expectation. And I always like to draw it out because when we say, what does it mean to be a people of expectation? It sounds different, doesn't it? And my DRE brain twists and says, oh yeah, this is a people of expectation. So I want to welcome our new subscribers. We've got a whole bunch of folks, and it was exciting to see everyone joining us in our sharing circle. Those new to Zoom, this is a wonderful platform. It's only once failed me, and that was because the whole Zoom platform for the entire world went black. Yeah, it was amazing. And then Carrie Ann, we'd love it if you could mute yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm joining in so late.
That's no, that's fine. I just finished a little thing about what it's like when your kitties and children are crying and that kind of thing. And it always happens this way, so don't worry. So I'm going to take my earplugs out. That is the crocheted chalice that was brought to me by Jessica Lakeman when Mary Carter Vale was selling them at GA, and I took it with me to Star Island because it's packable. She crocheted it herself. So a few announcements, just like church service. Soulful Home, our family guide, was a big part of my talk when I was invited to be the keynoter on Star Island, because it's something I told everyone that it's something I wished I had done my whole 36 years in religious education. But I never had time. I was always concentrating on that Sunday morning time. So providing family support is something I wished I could do, and now our people can subscribe to Soul Matters, Soulful Home, the Family Guide. You can do a congregational subscription. It's like $10 to $13 a month, depending on the size of your congregation. Or right now we're running a special on individual subscriptions at $3 a month for that once a month family guide. We were delighted to find out when we talked to the people who were subscribing that grandparents subscribe to this. And that solved another problem that I kept encountering. Aunts and uncles and family members would say, my children aren't going to church, but I'd like to give them some resources. And so there was the resource now, is a family guide on the theme. The second announcement, hi everybody who's joining us. We do have two files up. They're mega files for sharing, and the big multi-gen sharing that we're inviting you to do is about any service of remembrance resources that you would like to share in our sharing circle, because that comes up often at the end of October or the beginning of November. So we didn't quite know which packet to put it in. So if it's in a mega file, then anyone can access it for whatever month you guys need it. Those would be, I know some of the folks in Texas who have Hispanic people who describe that in the Brainstorm Lab, do Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. In our congregation in Boulder, Colorado, we finally realized we were being culturally inappropriate back in the 90s doing Dia de los Muertos because we had no Hispanic members. And so we call it Day of Remembrance. But this is a time when you remember the people who have died in your congregation. And as those of you who had joined me for the Brainstorm Lab last week shared, there's all kinds of beautiful permutations, like tolling of the bell. Jill, you've got to put that in. I never had a bell in my congregations. Okay, and then the last announcement is about crossing paths. I hope that you would be interested in that. This is our curriculum for interfaith visits by middle schoolers. We just finished our meetings with the Jewish advisors. So we've asked some Jewish Unitarians to look at the packet that we've written and have been using for 2 to 3 years and tell us what their reactions were. Are we capturing things with honesty and respect? And they gave us some great suggestions. So we're in this process of asking advisors to review it. Last announcement is about the labs, first Wednesday and second Wednesday. The first Wednesday is an unrecorded brainstorm lab. Some of you joined me last week. And then this Wednesday, the second Wednesday, is the implementation lab for next month, which is expectation for us in September. So next time will be September 4th for December's theme of awe, and September 11th for October's theme of belonging. Okay, so what I like to do is give an overview. Katie's little peek into my Rolodex file of why I put the certain buckets in to the packet that you all should have received by now. And I know you did. Hopefully nobody's been waving their hand yet. Okay, great. By the way, if you ever do, just contact Susan. She'll figure out why you didn't receive it. So the packet. If you notice, we send the packet to you in 2 different formats, PDF and Word. And you probably are aware that PDF is an actual picture of the page, and you can't manipulate it. The Word doc, you can manipulate it, and we encourage you to do so. We encourage you to slice and dice in whatever way works for you, because these are building blocks for you and your congregation. The difference, though, is that in Word, you'll see the formatting gets wonky, because each of our computers, when we open Word, opens it in a different margin, in a different format, and we on this end, Soul Matters end, can't control the defaults like we can with the PDF. So if you want to give it, like print out a couple of packets to give to your teachers, if you have print people, or you want them on the guest table, whatever, do the PDF, because that'll be the pretty one. Then if you want to slice and dice it, use that Word doc. So that's just a little sneak peek in how we try to make the tech easy for you. Then we go into what we call our buckets. So this is when the staff, the worship people, LA, Scott and I, Michelle, sometimes Susan, think about the word expectation. And we usually come up with 4 or 5 buckets. These are the lenses that we say, okay, so for expectation, we said, well, okay, we've got to do a bucket about being flexible with our expectations. We've got to do a bucket on expecting new beginnings, just because of the time of year it is. We want to do a bucket on being free from expectations. So that was, I'll tell you the angles we came up with. We want to do a bucket on expecting change, and we want to do a bucket on expecting pressures from others' expectations. So those were the 5 buckets. So what did we come up with? Well, we take the calendar and we take all those buckets and we think of everything we can think of. We have a matrix that we use of justice issues and science and math and all that stuff. And we say, here's the 5 top things we'd love to share in our sharing circle for you guys. So it's water communion for many of our congregations. So learning from water is a way to share how to navigate expectations that push and pull at us. Now, this is one of the reasons I love thematic ministry. So if you come at it like, okay, it's water service, water communion, whatever you call it, it's like, what are we going to do this year? But if you come at it through the theme, it gives you an entirely new way to approach it. So the waters that push and pull at us is a way of sharing the beauty of sometimes we just need to float. Imagine this, there's a poem in the small group packet, if you have access to that, about a father who tells his daughter who's in the midst of a hard time, sometimes you just have to float. So session 1 is learning from water. We give you all kinds of possibilities for the youngest ones, preschool, kindergarten, the elementary school children, and the youth. So you'll see 3 sections in each packet. The second session is something I'm aware of as a DRE of since 1984, means Director of Religious Education, also now called Faith Formation, and all the wonderful things we have come up with to describe what we try to do. It's covenant time, isn't it? It's the first time the kids are going to get together in whatever group they're going to be in this year. Maybe it's changed, maybe it hasn't, but it's always good to do a covenant. And so we're suggesting one session on expecting new beginnings. So for the littlest ones, that's try to address in their spiritual home their terror of going to their new grade in school, if they go to school, if they're not homeschooled, or their terror of coming into a new group in Sunday school where no one knows them, say they haven't been back for 3 months. And so what kinds of things do you need to do to help people feel comfortable? And I asked that question for the elementary school kids and the youth, and then there's an opportunity to set up their covenants. All right, the next one is the magic of being set free from expectations. So there's my fun little playful one, using magic. And I suggest it as an element for all ages. So what you'll find out is that I don't always go to books for that for all ages experience. Yes, I do use books, but I don't always. Sometimes doing magic tricks in front of the congregation is going to be a teaching moment for all ages. So there's magic tricks that are super simple, but for the front of the congregation kind of stuff, see if you've got a youth or someone who is a magician who can do just a few simple things. Because I tell you, I've flubbed it many times. It's like, oh, that didn't work. So that's one of my little tangents for you to do magic. And then there's the fourth session is about expecting change. So for big people, that's our whole ongoing revelation, isn't it? We expect our faith to change. And what a wonderful thing it is, because we are in the middle right now of conversation about an 8th principle brought to us by the BLUU people. We were in conversation about a 6th source in the late 80s and 90s that the women of our congregation brought forward, the earth-centered source. And that was a whole process. And we voted on it. It's not like it was a revelation from God that is fixed. We just voted on it, which I think is really cool. And then there's, in my humble opinion, a need to be a 7th source, but I have not initiated anything at GA yet, but that's the whole source of our own history and heritage. So we have world religions, Judeo-Christian stuff, but our UU history and heritage isn't in there. And I use it all the time. I draw on all the stuff that is from our history. Anyway, just what a wonderful thing to have ongoing revelation. And I would love our elementary school children to be able to say that word. Some of my colleagues in the Christian faith teach their children words like missiology and ecclesiology, and they know what they mean. So I don't shy away from saying them. It'll just echo in their brain. Ongoing revelation. Ooh, revelation. I've heard that somewhere in my faith community. The last session is expecting pressure from others' expectations. So this is when I did a Patronus meditation from Harry Potter. about our true inner self. I always go to kid culture if I can for some of those things. Finding our Patronus, that is the mystical white being that protected Harry. And of course, in his magic world. So there's the 5 buckets for September. And you all can take them and do whatever you want. You can use it as a cookbook to march through the 5 Sundays of September in that order. Pick one activity, one story, one meditation, and you've got your Sunday right there for your volunteers. Or if it doesn't fit, take out the Oobleck and take out the story that you like and create what works for you. That's what we expect you to do. I just want to point out there is a song for all ages, because I am in favor of reducing the silos in our churches. So the traditional silos are music, worship, RE, and social justice. And never the twain shall meet. In thematic ministry, they can start to meet because everyone's doing this theme. And in addition, you can say things like, here's a song for all ages, Mr. Music Director. Can you do the for all ages instead of me or the minister? Maybe you'd like to tell them the backstory to the song. So I'm all for mixing up those silos as we do thematic ministry. Let's see. Here's a little fun thing. The UURE Facebook page, I'm recommending it to you. You do have to ask to join it, but it's a pretty easy process. If you search for water communion, you'll get all kinds of resources, and they're wonderful resources. So that's another way to find resources on how to do a water communion. On our own Facebook page, the Soul Matters RE Facebook page, Robin Slaw, one of our subscribers, posts bookmarks on the theme every month. I haven't seen hers yet, but it should be coming soon. And those bookmarks flew out of my congregation when I put them in the visitors shelf and in the RE shelf. They're beautifully done on a PDF with both sides of affirmations on the theme for like 5 different days. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, in the packet, we also include a UU identity page. That's when we try to find the stories that are the traditional stories, but dare I say it's traditional white stories. Like the story of Thomas Potter is a good one for expectation, because he had a dream and he expected somebody to come and preach on a loving God for 10 years. That's why he built his little chapel on the coast of New Jersey. He expected that. It's a good one, it fits. And in addition, I want to add a story about expecting things like the start of school, about Anna B. Jordan Willis, who was a Black woman who started a school. And after a long story, I'll let you read it, it was defunded by the Universalist fathers at the time. And this was after the Depression. And they essentially killed it. And so there is a place for the stories of our mistakes, as well as for the stories of our great hopes and dreams. And I try to stick them in there. That's the UUID page. There's also a template for a chapel. If you happen to need that, I personally believe that children learn things in their heart when they learn them by heart. So in my days in a congregation, I have moved into Soul Matters, but I served several in the 33 years I was a DRE. I like them to know immediately what we're going to say. To this quiet place of beauty, we come from busy things, pausing for a moment for the thoughts that quiet brings. Those are the words that opened my children's chapel for many, many years. The children who came knew them. The children who didn't know them, they were posted on the boards so the parents and children who were just visiting or only came once a month could read them. So learning them by heart, that's what's in my chapel template. And then there's a few suggestions for how to make the altar table, the centerpiece, a little different based on what's going to happen in the theme of the month. So now, indulge me just a little bit in this overview. I want to go through the beginning of what you see in the session. There's a focus question, a practice, a session goal, and a calendar connected listed at the top of each session. That's the way I'm trying to give you to grab a hold of the big concepts that are going to be part of that session. So the focus question, that's right from Thomas Groom. He was a Catholic religious educator. He did what he called the praxis model, Praxis. And he said, if you have a good focus question, then you're going to know what you're supposed to be doing. So let's take that first session. It says, what does water have to teach us about navigating the currents of expectation? That's your focus question. The next piece is the practice. So if we are a faith community, I think one of our drawbacks, as you use, is we don't teach the depth and maturity of a practice. We're starting to. But we're not saying in order to mature religiously, you need to practice something. You need to find a way to jump into the sacred. So in terms of this particular session, this session number 1 in your packet on expectation, the practice and skill is of knowing when to resist and when to lean into the expectations that push and pull us. Imagine that's a skill for maturing religiously that we would like preschoolers and elementary school children and youth to start to dabble in. The session goal, so this is standard pedagogy for education, is a goal. So one voice in our heads tells us to expect the worst. Another tells us to expect the best. Being a person of expectation is about balancing these competing voices. The currents of water offer a helpful metaphor. Sometimes we need to resist the current, other times we need to trust the current to carry us. So do you see how doing thematic ministry and this kind of practice and focus allows us to suddenly reach a very deep level with our children? Sometimes we need to trust the current to carry us. And most of the time there's a calendar connection. So for that particular session, it's obviously the water communion. Some of them are flexible, like the magic session could go anytime. And I usually just say either flexible or I don't put a calendar connection in that. All right. A little bit of fun stuff. I'm a DRE, I'm a hands-on applied person. So I wanted to, share one of the books that I recommend, Fly, Eagle, Fly. I'm very picky when I pick books. They have to be readable. You see how the text is readable. They have to have a big story line. They don't, I don't like endless text to read. This is a story from Ghana, West Africa, where I have relatives since my brother married an Ashanti woman, which is pretty cool. And it happens to deal with the theme because they find a hawk fledgling. They put it in with their chickens and it thinks it's a chicken. So its inner soul is a chicken, and it expects to be a chicken. And it's sort of pecking on the ground, and it doesn't fly. And one of the visitors comes in and says, well, that is not following its true nature. You need to teach it to fly. And finally, of course, it realizes it's got the nature of a hawk. So I like that for expectations. When people don't expect much, when they expect you to be a chicken, I guess you act like a chicken. So there's that. And then the other fun thing, oh yeah, the selective attention test is in there. There's a link to it. So I'm not going to give it away, but it's something they used for us as why people don't see cyclists on the road. I'm a cyclist and I'm on the side of the road, and very often people just don't see me. So this selective attention test link is wonderful. It says, hey, watch these people playing basketball and tell us what you see. They did it with over and over with all kinds of people, and about 50% of the people don't see what is happening. So that's as much as I can give without giving a spoiler, but it's really fun to use with the youth. And then there's Oobleck, and I thought to myself, oh, should I make some Oobleck and demonstrate it? And I said, no, there's no way, because I need my hands to work the keyboard and the mouse. But Oobleck is a good example of what you expect as how you can expect change. Oobleck is cornstarch and water. And I put it in a big tray, and when you squeeze it, it gets dry and hard, and it crumbles when you squeeze it. But if you let it go, it turns fluid, and it looks like a Salvador Dali painting. It just drips down. It's fascinating chemical stuff. And there's a book by Seuss called Bartholomew and the Oobleck, and so there's a whole connection there that's in your packet. Lastly, fun stuff. So somewhere, it fell down. Oh well. So I made a Mobius strip. Do you know what that is? It's a twisted loop that never has an end. You go round and round. There's a link to a place on the web that you can make 2 Mobius strips that turn into 2 hearts. Isn't that magical? And I think that is a cool mathematical sort of miracle magic trick. Isn't that cool? Look at that. All right. There's my little show and tell for you guys. My fun stuff. So now we're to the part of the show where I invite you to share challenges, opportunities, and takeaways, possibly even solutions. Hi, Susan.
Hey, sorry, didn't realize you were on. I'll slip away.
You can come and play. It's okay.
That's okay.
All
Bye-bye.
right. See ya. Bye. So that's Susan, our admin, who just jumped on and then disappeared. So this is where I invite you to lurk, but if you are thinking about the challenges of doing September in Soul Matters, and I know Mia's interested because she's a brand new subscriber, how do you use these? If everyone's brand new, I'll chime in too, but if some of you folks who have done this before chime in, that would be great too. So challenges, opportunities, and then takeaways. So what I'm going to do is time it, since we've got enough people to make it a little difficult to just like grab the stage. So I would like to invite, I'll call on you according to the screen, where you are on the screen. If you want to lurk, say thanks anyway, no problem, I just want to listen. If you'd like to share your challenge, I'll give you a minute and we will do that. And then when I raise my hand, that means that your minute is up. Okay, so first on my screen is Leslie. And do you have a challenge you'd like to share?
Our biggest challenge is that this will be our very first time. And everyone's very anxious about this. My second challenge is that one of the reasons why we decided to go with Soul Matters is because we had been putting preschool through sixth graders together. And we found that preschoolers and kindergartners really weren't getting a whole lot out of it. And the challenge is our preschool and kindergarten census is like, sometimes we'll have 1 and sometimes we'll have 7. And if we have 1, then it makes more sense for them to join in with the first through 6th grade group than to sit there with 2 teachers and 1 child. And I wonder if anybody else has this experience and whether or not you have any wisdom for me.
Awesome. You were a perfect modeler, because now you hit the 1 minute mark, and we now have a challenge in front of us. So what we do is we'll lay all these challenges out, because often we have the same one, and then people can do the opportunities, possible solutions, and takeaways. Next on my screen is Mia.
Hi.
Hi.
2 things come to mind. One is that where I am, we start in August. School starts in August. We've already started. So I'm trying to stretch the materials through August and September. And then the other challenge I have is that we have a big program. We have multiple people creating curriculum for different age groups. I'm doing the early elementary, and I find that this is at a different level than we have been using with this group, and I'm finding it really challenging to simplify it, because I think, as Leslie shared, it's I'm not quite sure how to say this, but I think it's a little too complicated for the youngest ones. But I mean, that's my impression. I haven't really worked with it with the kids yet. This Sunday will be my very first Sunday. We spent last Sunday doing Covenant.
Okay, awesome. So simplifying it, and multiple ages, and starting. Next on my screen is Ben.
Hi, I just started as a DRE, so I haven't actually met with many of the kids yet, so I don't have any challenges yet. It's just getting up to speed, so I'll pass.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Next on my screen is Jill.
There it is. Hi. Our program is small. We're brand new to Soul Matters, so that's just sort of getting started is a challenge, I guess. We're contracting the program. The congregation made some budget changes in the meeting in June, and so my hours were cut by about 25%, and the RE committee decided to offer 1 Sunday morning RE class a month. So we have tons of material to use, but I guess my challenge isn't really a Soul Matters challenge. My challenge is communicating with families to get them to come to church, even if there's not an RE program, and maybe even volunteer to help make more RE programs.
Oh, Jill. And next on my, oh, perfect. Okay. Next on my screen is Laura Ellen.
I'm relatively new, 4 months in as a DRE. My challenge is I'm not only DRE, but I'm a teacher of a very rowdy group of 8 boys with ADHD, autism, everything you can imagine. So I need Oobleck every single time. So that's my challenge. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Laura Ellen. Good challenge. Next on my screen is Amy. And you were unmuted to start with, Amy.
Oh, whoops. I'm not sure how to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And when you're ready, there's a bar underneath your screen, and on the very left side, there's a microphone, and it says mute or unmute. You can push that.
Okay, I'm unmuted now, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I am a volunteer, and the congregation has been using Soul Matters for a while, and I am new at looking at it. People who have looked at it more thoroughly have said it's so complicated they gave up. So I am trying to help simplify it. I'm not the first person to say that.
Ooh.
And I joined a little bit late, but I was interested in seeing what the what the progression is. The plan is for the children to be in the main service for most of the service and just have RE for the last 20 minutes or so during the adult message. So we really need to find a way to condense this for the kids.
Great.
So
Great. Thanks, Amy. Now, see if you can find your mute button. It'll be on the left. There's a little microphone. If you push it, that usually brings a red line across. And I'm glad you joined us. It's nice to have a volunteer who's there. Next on my screen is Jen.
Hi, I've been a DRE for our congregation for about over a year now, and I taught the Crossing Paths curriculum last year, and I'm a former teacher, and I loved it so much that I got the whole congregation to switch over to Soul Matters this year. So I am already, I love it. I'm really excited about it. I think it's not really a challenge so much. I am switching to sort of more of a one-room schoolhouse model for, I do have a separate class for pre-K and possibly K, and then 1st through 5th grade that I'll be teaching myself with 2 other volunteers. And I guess the biggest thing that we're trying to do this year is use a lot more kind of element of choice within the Soul Matters curriculum. And so just sort of the best ways to do, just trying to figure out what's the best way of both offering like kind of whole group elements, which I'm thinking would be like the Wonder Box and the initial like focus question, but then giving the kids the options of, one volunteer doing a book, another one doing the Oobleck style thing. We also have a large group of very rowdy boys. 2 of them are my children. And so sort of that element, and then a craft. So they have a lot of choice, but I still really want them walking away with the theme and thinking about it. So I guess my challenge is just how to make sure that they really get that theme while maintaining choice.
Nice. Good. Thank you, Jen. Great. You guys are being very on task. Next on my screen is Chelsea Crane. Would you like to join us, or would you like to lurk? There she goes.
Hi. Yes, so like Ben, I'm a new DRE. I just started this month. So that's my main challenge. It's very similar to his, so I'm mostly here to listen and learn, and hopefully I'll have more input next time. But thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, and welcome to one of the best jobs I can ever have. I love this work. And next is a lovely little DRE, it says, last on my screen. That's all I have is information, is DRE.
Hi, thanks for your patience. I'm new to this Zoom stuff a little bit. And I'll certainly have my picture up next time, I hope. But my name is Jennifer, and I'm 1 month into my role and new to this curriculum. And my one question or pondering is, and I haven't looked more deeply into it, but from the overview that you've given us, I'm thinking the activities you've described sound like they're going to work really well with upper elementary and early junior high and even high school. I'm a little more concerned about like the preschool and kindergarten age group that don't, from what I know about childhood development, like some of the abstract connections that are being made might get lost on them because that thinking level isn't developed yet.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. It's exciting to have new folks. I think I get the impression everybody sort of got the same question, which is how do you navigate this big thick packet of 78 pages you just got sent? Maybe I'll take a little time here, and I'm even going to time myself so I don't stop. So I don't blab forever. If simplify is a theme, then what I just told you about, all this spiritual maturity stuff, you're right, that's a little more complex than maybe you needed. In the past, people have been like saying you spent too much time on preschool, Katie. So I changed it up and I did go a little deeper. However, just so you know my background, I started out as an early childhood educator. And one of the first curriculums I wrote was Challenge Children, which is now up for free on the Tapestry of Faith thing. So I didn't concentrate on the packet preschool stuff. However, it's there. The same 4 spiritual maturity focus question session goal is there at the top. However, ignore it. Because for preschool children, what I suggested, for instance, was for expectation, where is Thumpkin? Because they're expecting, look, Thumpkin comes out. You see how simple expectation gets. The books are simpler, and so Mia, if you're looking for simpler material, you might mine the Preschool K stuff in there. Amazing Grace is a beautiful book about a little girl. She's a little African-American girl who wants to be Peter Pan. You saw that. Great. I just wanted to mention that for my minute as a reflection on where my direction was for this part, and probably shouldn't have done it that way, but oh well. Best laid plans. So it sounded complicated when I introduced it to you. We do provide a lot of elements for you, and I want to reassure you that as you sink into this material, I think it will become clearer. The thread that was on the Facebook page, Soul Matters RE, Mia posted, hey, I'm just starting. How do people use this? There were some reassuring comments there too. So in terms of what Jen said, where do you start when you're going to be having, it sounds like what we might call the workshop rotation model with different people doing a craft. I would gather and do the Wonder Box, because that's the core reflection on expectation. Look, here's a pipe cleaner. We bend it in different ways. We expect it to change. That's just the same way we expect our faith to change. And then you go into, that's how simple that piece is. It's funny, see, I've written 2 and I'm in the middle of the 3rd packet, so I can't always just pull out of my mind what it said. Okay, well, that's enough. So I would encourage you to look at that Wonder Box piece as that's your big takeaway. And then all the activities below, those are pick and choose, like Jen's going to do. Here's the book you can read with this person. Here's the Oobleck you can play with. Here's the outside place you want to go. And if you'd like to be quiet, and if you have 5 boys doing that, maybe they don't get into that. However, you never know, you know? Go there and do the meditation. I'll put in a little plug for my Spirit of Adventure stuff, which I wrote for active children. It's on my website. Okay. How about opportunities? Let's share a little bit. How are we doing on time? Let me make sure we're doing okay. Yeah, we're doing great. On the opportunities that have presented themselves for you to engage with expectation or with Soul Matters. And I'm going to start with Leslie. We'll just march through the screen just like we just did.
Not exactly sure what this section is supposed to be. The opportunities, I was thrilled to see that you included a children's chapel, which we have been trying to do once a month. We call it Chalice Chapel. And it's an opportunity to have all of the children and youth and RE together in one place, which is a challenge in itself because we don't actually have one place that fits them all comfortably if more than 30 of them show up. But I was really, really happy to see that because prior to this, I've been like making them up myself. And this like goes, wow, I don't have to do that anymore.
Hey, that's what we want to hear. Great, thanks, Leslie. Mia?
Part of my challenge with the opportunities is things are crazy right now where I am. A little background, I've been DRE where I am at for more than 5 years now, and I just got credentialed. I am going to be meeting this week for the very first time with my new supervisor, our new associate minister. We have had some staff changes at our church, and we run programming all summer long, so I am just nuts with time. I'm also just about to hire a new youth programs coordinator, so I've been doing all the youth work too. So part of it is just that I haven't had the time to really go into it. But I expect, having worked, the main reason that I counseled my minister and everybody to do this was because I'm familiar with Katie's work. And we've used it many times in many places, and I love it, and I expect no less from this. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what we've got here.
Okay, thanks, Mia. Next is Ben.
So just what are the, like, what's up in
Opportunities. Opportunities in engaging the theme or engaging soul matters at this point.
the congregation, the kids program here is used to doing a lot of theater type activities and games and outdoor stuff related to the themes. And I feel like starting with water feels like it's probably going to resonate. So I just feel like there's a lot here that we can work with, which I really appreciate.
All right, great. I do try to be active stuff too.
Awesome.
All right. Yes, awesome, Ben, thanks. Jill.
The opportunity I'm most looking forward to, I think, is getting everybody talking around about and in and out of the same ideas. The small group of kids, the middle school kids, little kids, middle school kids, and large group of older adults, hopefully all talking about the same things and feeling less like silos. I agree with you about the silos.
Thank you, Jill. Laura Ellen?
I was going to say the mixing of the silos is important, and that's an opportunity. I like the idea of working with our music director and more opportunities to do social justice. We just came up with an idea that we would teach 2 Sundays, and then a 3rd Sunday we do social justice with the whole group of from 1st graders to 6th graders. And then the last Sunday, we were going to bring in our congregants, and they were going to do storytelling. They were going to tell what they were passionate about, and then we're running stations afterwards related to that. So all of this will come under the umbrella of expectation. So we have a lot of opportunities for mixing it up.
All right, great. Thank you. And next is Amy. Amy's figuring out her mute. Amy, it's on your left screen. Okay, we're going to go to, whoops.
There we go. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
I have been a Unitarian Universalist all of my adult life, which is passing 55 years now. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to really have the children's programming dovetail with what the adults are doing. I feel like so often what's going on with the kids is just totally different from the adults. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to have the tools to put them more in sync.
Lovely, Amy. Thank you so much. Jen.
I'm looking forward to, as other people have shared, the opportunity to have the children and youth more, again, also on the same page as the adults and the congregation. So really sort of, slowly working towards that. I really like the full week faith model. And so, just baby steps, I guess, in that direction. So there's not so much separation. But then in addition to that, I'm excited about the opportunity that I think that the Soul Matters RE curriculum is providing, that, we have a lot of kids. I mean, I think like every congregation, our attendance is sporadic. And, I do average around 20 to 30 kids every Sunday, but those are, but I have 60 who are actually registered in the program. So it could be, I have a lot of kids coming from 2 different houses where they come with one parent every other week. Sometimes they only come once a month. And so a lot of the curricula we were using last year in very specific grade levels, like Bibleodian, for example, with 5th grade, really, they have to be there every week to really understand, and it builds on it. And I really like that the Soul Matters curriculum, it can build for those who are coming more consistently, but that it also provides a space for kids to come in and take something from it. And then if they only come once in the month, they're still getting something out of it and they don't feel lost. So I really like that about it too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. And there's Fran. Fran, would you like to join us for an opportunity? Oops. No. Try it the other way. You're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I'm new to UU and I've been a DRE since January, and I've been learning as quickly as I can. And I've been told that throughout the summer, and we're in California, that a lot of people in the congregation travel, and that we're a regional church rather than a neighborhood church. So that's something that I see as an opportunity to challenge that. Is that true, that we are only a regional church? And can Soul Matters help me like put out a really inviting dish to invite people in?
Yeah.
I feel that it can. The other thing that I see as an opportunity is that people have been going to Peace Camp. Another group in San Luis Obispo put on a Peace Academy. It was well attended. It was sold out. And that's what I thought that we should be doing throughout the summer. But, I'm new. It should take a year. So my idea is that either I'd like to join forces with that group or invite them to dive into our program. And I've been told by one of the parents is, let's use some of the ideas that they use at camp so that the RE program on a regular everyday Sunday has that kind of quality, so that you're always going to be welcomed. You're not going to feel like you're behind or you're ahead. I think that's a big challenge to create that, but I think that it's possible.
Awesome.
And I see that Soul Matters gives you that opportunity. To me, I look at it as a great cookbook. It's like Julia Childs.
There you go. It can be a cookbook. It can be recipes, or it can be whatever. Awesome. Thanks, Fran. Next is Chelsea.
Hello again. Yeah, so one of the things that I think is a great opportunity opportunity to just be said that, you know, we're talking about and celebrating the same themes with our children as we are with adults. And I think furthermore, like bridging that gap between the generations that can often occur in congregations. That's something that my congregation really wants to see more intergenerational bonding. And so one specific opportunity I'm looking forward to is this Sunday, following the service, we're hosting, I'm calling it a revisioning event, re-visioning. And so during the service, the kids are going to make pizzas from scratch because we have a kitchen downstairs, and they're going to make it any way they want. And then the congregation can come and after the service enjoy pizza and conversation about the RE program. And at that event, I'm going to be kind of sharing about what Soul Matters is, but we're also going to be talking about programming that happens, you know, not just on Sunday, and getting congregation feedback and input. So feel that that's a really important opportunity for me as a first-time DRE to hear what people are looking for, I guess.
Nice. Thank you, Chelsea. And our other person. Hello. A few reflections. Back to you. We're within a few minutes of ending, and it's an idea and a story from Soul Matters. The idea is, I am an active person, and I believe we reach our children's lives through activity, and I'm always suggesting the 3 S's: sunshine, silence, and service are my 3 S's for what faith formation does that social media, tech, and screens can't do. The sunshine means anything movement related. So for the water communion, I started the tradition of renting a water slide, which please think about it. Yeah, Ben, do it. If you've got active kids and you have a water slide for water communion, and we had the board go down, they came out in flippers and masks, and everyone was laughing so hard. And all the children were going down it, and then we went in, we did the water communion, they were all wet, sitting in the pews, the seats, we have seats. And then the whole congregation came out. So be crazy. Now, I did get buy-in from the minister. So she wore, okay, here's the other disclaimer. There's no way I'm going in front of the congregation in my bathing suit, right? There's no way. So what I did was we just wore our Standing on the Side of Love t-shirts and some tights. And she went down after the service. She took off her robe and she had that on. And she went down the water slide. So did the board, so did the music director. He ran out to his car and got his gym stuff. So, water slide. The other is a story about the power of doing thematic ministry. And that is my preschool teacher. So this was even before I was working for Soul Matters. And the preschool teacher said, I want to do the theme too. And I had no resources. So I said, well, great. And she fortunately was a early childhood person. So the theme was impermanence. All right, I'm like, great, impermanence and preschool. And what she did was have a tabletop, and the children were tearing paper, and they made a little mandala, preschool mandala, put some things in circles, no glue. And their parents, the young parents who had just heard a sermon on impermanence, came in to pick up their children. And she said, 1, 2, 3, and they blew that tissue paper all over. And that illustrated impermanence for those preschool teachers. Now, not only did we have that moment to share together with that family, but just think about it. When they lose a family member, that young family may remember how impermanence is part of our life. And the children won't be able to talk about it in preschool, but blowing that mandala of tissue paper all over will give them that feeling of what it is to change and how change has to be always with us. And so the young couple came in, they said, I can't believe how great this is, because we just heard this sermon and here's our children doing this too. So I hope that you have moments like that too. It was very powerful for me. Then when I got hired to be in Soul Matters, I've been ecstatic ever since because it's so powerful. So water slide and the story. I'm going to end this with a little benediction. We don't get to everything. As you're finding out, Soul Matters has a lot of depth and complexity. And as you make your way through it, I hope that my little talkings about use the Wonder Box and then pick an activity and then make it simple, as well as the whole stuff about spiritual maturity and what we're thinking. I hope that helps. And join me for the next one. And here's the benediction. This is from the small group packet on expectation. God, please give us rain when we expect sun. Give us music when we expect trouble. Give us tears when we expect breakfast. Give us dreams when we expect a storm. Give us a stray dog when we expect congratulations. God, play with us, turn us sideways and around. In this start of the new year, we will expect disruption. It is the creative chaos of what we do, isn't it? We create these chaotic programs for children, youth, and families. My wish for you is that out of the busyness of August, you are called back into moments of balance in some way that you feel most comfortable with. Maybe it's a special relationship in your life. Maybe it's a child, or a flower, or a moment. Dove calls through busy morning walls. The dove calls. She calls, and silence fills my mind. Hush, the dove calls. That's a poem by Susan Manker Seal. May life indeed turn us sideways and around and lead us unexpectedly but safely into balance. Blessed be. Amen. I'm going to turn off the recording as soon as I find, there we go. Bye, everybody.